Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this Your Overseas Home webinar, where we'll be looking at how to buy your ski property in 2025 and beyond. My name is Richard Way. I'm a member of the Your Overseas Home content team, and I'll be hosting this session. So it's great to have you all with us, whether you're watching live or you're catching up on demand from the recorded version. So today we're going to get some invaluable information about finding and purchasing a ski home. We're focusing predominantly on the Alps, including France, but I know that our speaker today, his website covers ski destinations all over the world. I think he just told me 16, which is a fair few. So most of what we talk about will be applicable wherever you're looking for a ski home. A key part of making the whole buying process a smooth and enjoyable experience is to address it in 4 simple steps. But I'm not going to steal the thunder of our speakers, and I'll let them explain what those are and how they can help you. And those people are Mr. Mark Lightfoot, who set up and runs a leading ski property portal called Snow Only. It's a one-stop online platform that offers thousands of ski properties for sale and can connect you with all the other essential service providers that you need for a successful purchase. It's loaded with information as well, articles, so a very valuable resource for people buying ski properties. And we're also lucky to have Jake Roscoe from Smart Currency Exchange. Smart's a leading currency transfer specialist. They are experts in helping clients exchange money and send funds around the world for property purchases. I mean, that's a specialist area that they work in, and then all the other transfers you might need to do when you're actually living abroad. Their one-to-one service is as much about delivering peace of mind and ensuring clients, people like you listening, understand currency markets and the effects of them on your buying power and your spending money. So as much about that as they are about value for money. So welcome both. Hi, Jake. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
All good for sound over there?
Hi, Richard.
So we've got 30 minutes for this session. We can go over a bit. It doesn't matter too much. But Mark, I'm going to let Mark run through his 4-step guide to helping you buy your ski property. It's a great way of planning everything and making sure everything's covered off, and it will help you from avoiding any hurdles or pitfalls along the way during the purchase process. Jake, I believe, is covering one of those steps, so he'll then take over and do a short presentation. And I've got questions as well, which I might throw into the mix, like an unexpected snowball as we go along. But also, we want to hear from you, the audience, too. We're lucky to have Jake and Mark here today, so make use of having them available to answer questions. You should be able to see a questions tool on your dashboard. If you type your answer in there, and then I will field the questions to Mark or Jake or both. But that's enough from me now. Let's hear from the experts. Mark, do you want to kick off and just talk us through the steps for buying a ski property?
Yeah, let me just give you a quick bit of background, Richard, on
of course.
My
career.
Yeah. I've been kind of doing real estate now for about over 20 years, starting in Asia and actually building Snow Only in Asia, which I just explained to Richard. Richard, I was building a ski property portal on the beaches of Thailand, which is a little bit different, but there were a lot of buyers out in Asia that were looking to sell their properties in Europe and Japan and America and so on and so forth. So during that time, we saw an opportunity to build Snow Only. There wasn't really a ski property portal around at the time. It was more agents locally in resort, and we wanted to build something that kind of centralized people's searches, allowing them to go to one place to access a lot of people rather than the other way round of because a lot of people don't know where they want to buy. They end up looking for loads of agents in loads of different resorts, and it becomes a very kind of confusing process. So what we did over the last 8 years is put into place what we consider some very, very good, I won't say the best, but I would say some very, very good agents and developers that we work with in order to find ski properties that suit the buyer's needs that come through our site. During this process, and more recently, I think, since Jake and I have been working a little bit closer together, we developed something that I actually has been in probably the pipeline for the last 20 years. And we built a 4 steps guide to buying ski property, more of a kind of way of simplifying the process to make it hopefully an enjoyable process for people rather than a clunky process that is a lot of back and forth. So first of all, step 1 is obviously snow only, and snow only allows you access via us to get in touch with the best developers and best agents around the world. Today we stick predominantly for France, but we do have access to 17, not 16, Richard, 17 countries. We have over 9,000 ski properties, and I think we're in about 268 ski resorts. So I can't say I'm the master of all of them, more of a jack of all trades, master of none, but we have access to a lot of properties. So one of the things you want to do is when the buyer comes into snow only, we understand the excitement of buying a ski property is via snow only. We understand that the process for looking for a ski property is a dream for a lot of people. So the excitement heightens. But then there's sometimes a little bit of negligence about the things that actually matter, which are generally steps 2, 3, and 4. So if you are looking for a ski property, we also have step 2, which is an introduction to our mortgage advisor. We have sourced a very, very good mortgage advisor for properties in France. They have access to something ridiculous like 57 banks. So the introduction there is very fluid. They can then qualify you very quickly in terms of being able to apply for a mortgage. The third step, and this doesn't have to be in any particular order, but they are four things that we consider important. The third step is the currency, which Jake will expand on a little bit later, but that is fundamentally important, especially if you're an overseas buyer, and the time difference, let's say, between looking for a property, potentially purchasing a property, or potentially buying off plan that Jake can kind of speak about later. So we have snow only as 1, currency as mortgages as 2, currency as 3, and then the fourth one is the legal requirement, which is the notaire in France, again, of which we've found an incredible notaire who speaks fluent English, been working actually he's based in Maribel, and been there for 25 years, I think. So we have 4 elements. Now, the important thing of these 4 elements for us is that they are all done at the beginning. So there are no hidden things that come up later. There are no surprises. So what we want to do is every time someone comes into our website, we want to make these introductions and all these ducks are lined up in order. So then when you come to make your property purchase, you have a full understanding of actually how much it costs, and you are getting the best exchange rate to be able to make it affordable. And in a nutshell, that is basically the 4 steps that we are providing.
Okay. Jake, actually, before you talk, Jake, I just want to ask, I know you mentioned you do a consultation service as well, Mark. Can you just talk us through what that entails? So I'm guessing this is a client. Go on. Yeah,
thanks, Richard. That's actually really good. The consultation is, I've been fortunate enough to ski all over the world, and I've been fortunate enough to be in real estate for the last 20 years. And some people tend to focus a lot just on maybe an area that they've skied or or have an idea of what they want, and it's just a consultation with me, which can be like anywhere from 5 minutes up to a couple of hours of talking. I have no problems talking to people about ski, but it's just an understanding of what people can expect from a ski property. One of the most common things that we get coming through our site from people is that they're looking for an investment that provides something like 8-9% return, and then base it on, let's say, the stock exchange, or I got a better deal in the Caribbean, or whatever it is. It's just not reality. So people can search as much as they want, but typically rental returns on ski properties are not that high. They're probably between 2 and 5%, 5 being very, very generous. So it's just giving people a bit of an understanding. Most people buy a ski property because it's a lifestyle purchase, and I don't tend to like using that word very often, but it is a lifestyle purchase. There's some very good information that's consistent about price per square meter. So some people would say, I have 100,000, this is a slightly lower budget, but they say I'd have 100,000 to spend, and I'm looking for a 3-bedroom property in somewhere like Maribel. Well, if Maribel's 20,000 euros a square meter, your property is going to be incredibly small. So it just doesn't really make sense. So again, it's just about advising people which places they can afford, and that might not be suitable for them. They might have to increase their budget, but with me, you can just get a very quick understanding of what you can afford and the best places to invest. And there's a lot of it, because we are in the industry, we get a lot of very valuable information from the developers or from the agents, that you can find out, which developer's offering a good deal, or this one's a particularly good price. It's just worth having the conversation rather than just searching around on the web. So anyone can contact me via Snow Only and set up a conversation. We can have a call. Very easy.
And I'm going to guess cheekily that that's a free service, because
it's all free. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't charge people for a conversation. It's a good conversation to have.
Great, thank you very much. I have got more questions, but let's let Jake do your bit, and then we can come back to questions so we don't run out of time. So, being to speak with Mark, we've worked out how Mark can help us find somewhere or point us in direction. This is a typical buyer. Worked out that we need to have a notaire ready, or a lawyer if it's a different country that's not a notarized system. Spoken to a mortgage advisor from Mark, so we know what sort of deposit we're going to need. So the fourth step, of course, is the currency side of things. So Jake, do you want to tell us a quick introduction to Smart, and then tell us how and why you guys are so important in this process?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Mark, for all the information. My name is Jake Roscoe. I work for Smart Currency Exchange. We've been going now for this is our 20th year, actually. So we've been in the market for quite a while now. We specialize in overseas property. So we deal with a lot of Mark's clients and some other property portals, along with some of your overseas home clients. And other agencies throughout Europe, US, etc., etc. So we've helped thousands of clients with their overseas property purchase. A lot of our clients are based in the UK and have pounds, require euros. We're completely UK based, even though we have all our team is UK based, even though we have a couple of offices around the world. And we're here to help people like yourselves manage their currency risk and make sure that you get the most out of your exchange, basically. So that's how we plug into the overseas property purchase. Is what we like to say here at Smart is try and do as much preparation as you can. And everybody's situation is different, everybody's case is different, and the sooner you can get in touch with a currency specialist, the sooner you will understand your options and what is best for your property journey. That kind of gives you an overview of how we plug into the overseas property purchase journey. We also have, probably a question that you might ask me, Richard, is why should clients use a broker or smart currency in particular? We have a few,
as opposed especially to a bank as well, because people think money, sending currency, they immediately think, oh, too many people still think I go to my bank and they'll do what I need done, but that's the big no-no, isn't it? And tell us why that is, Jake.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of people that have banked for many, many years, like you said, just think, well, it's easiest, and I know them at the bank and they're going to be able to give me the best service, and it's just easy peasy to do it with them. If I'm honest with you, if you take one thing from this webinar from my side, it's do not use your high street bank. The reason being is because they will, well, one is it's not what they do, in the sense of it's not their bread and butter, right? Currency exchange for them is a bit on the side. Here at Smart, we this is what we do day in, day out. We help thousands of clients, so we can offer you a better service than the bank. We will offer you better pricing than the bank. Banks usually charge, I don't want to say quote an exact amount, but anywhere between 4 and 5% on the exchange rate that you're seeing on the day. And also, you won't be able to have access to some of the options that you will have with a currency broker, different types of contracts, which we will go into a bit further down the line. But banks, whatever, if you're doing an exchange with the bank, you get whatever the rate is on the day, and be expecting to actually get a lot less than that rate on the day. So there's a few reasons why you shouldn't use your high street bank to do your currency exchange.
And one of the great things as well about your service is it's a personal service where you're talking to people, and you're actually talking about your buying plans, you're talking about your budget, you're talking about your liquidity of funds, and so just tell us how that relationship develops, and should people start talking to you now? So if they're thinking of buying, say, first few months of next year, they want to be having conversations with you guys now. So you can ask them about what their funds, how much they've got in sterling, or it might be another currency. But let's say they're buying in France or the Austrian Alps and they need euros. So what sort of conversation will you be having with them, and what sort of options would you be giving them?
So the first thing I want to cover is that it's completely free to open an account with us. So It takes 5 minutes for someone based in the UK. We run a couple of checks, proof of address, proof of ID, and within 5 minutes you've got a free, no obligation account where you have access to your own personal account manager. So that once you've got your account open, your account manager will basically have what we call a welcome call with you. They will, a bit like Mark's call, just understand what your situation is, how much money you have in pounds, what's your budget will be in euros. For example, let's just take euros as an example, because it's probably one of the most popular ones that we deal with. What the rate is that you will be able to achieve at today's date, for example, and how, at the moment we're trading around about 121, so €1.21 for every pound, which has been the highest it's been for 3 years. So if you're speaking to any account managers at the moment, they'll be telling you, if you're serious about your plans, then you might want to think about your currency exchange sooner rather than later. Something that a contract that we can offer for this is what we call a forward contract, which actually ties in really nicely with the overseas property purchase. So say, for example, you did you're confident that in the next 6 to 12 months you're going to be going ahead with that purchase. You can actually fix in a rate say, for example, today you can fix in a rate and we can deliver that rate for you on completion. So this is a popular contract that a lot of our clients use for their overseas property purchase, because you're basically eliminating all the currency risk between today's date and, say, for example, your completion's in 3-6 months time. You know exactly how much euros you're going to be delivered on the day of your completion at today's date, basically. So that's one of the options that we can provide that's very popular.
And of course, another option I think that other people do is they might split their money so they kind of hedge against the rate moving. So you could say 50% you might take a forward contract for, and then the other 50% you might decide, well, I'll wait till the day that I need the funds and do a spot transfer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite popular as well. Some people like to, what we call hedge the bets a little bit. Depends how risk averse you are. Some people like to play the markets a little bit. It depends what your situation is. If you're really tight and you only have a certain amount of pounds available, then you might want to make sure you know exactly how much money you've got to spend before you get there, so you know what kind of properties you're looking at. Other people that might be in a bit more of a comfortable situation is, they might want to take a bit of the risk off the table, but then keep some on there and see what's going on in the future. And some people prefer to just do it on the day further down the line, so like I said, everyone's case is different. The best thing for you to do is have a conversation with us. It's completely free. There's no, unless you trade with us, there's no fee, and we can discuss your options basically.
Okay, and just one more question and then we'll go back to Mark. In today's world of scams and internet fraud, just give the audience reassurance about how their money is safe when it's being transferred through smart.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest, like you said, concerns for people is how do we know that our money is safe? For a lot of people, this is their life savings, right? So we are FCA authorized, regulated, and which is a financial conduct authority. Your money, any money that you send to us, will be paid into a client segregated account. So we cannot touch your money, and we do not speculate with your money. We do not earn interest on your money. So how the process works is you will send us X amount of pounds, let's call it £100,000, and we will deliver you whatever the exchange rate that we've agreed on the phone into a euro account, to whatever euro account you want to, usually between 24 and 48 hours later. And this could be your notaire's account, it could be your estate agent's account, the developer's account, or your own personal account if you have one already. So your money's completely safe. Like I said, we're backed by Barclays as well, and we've been around for 20 years, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Big office based in London.
Correct. I think there's 140 employees at the moment, something like that. So we're
established outfit. Great, thank you very much. Okay, so currency set up, spoken to the mortgage provider, spoken to Mark, got our finance in place. Mark, someone's now ready to look properly for a property. There are literally hundreds, thousands of resorts. If we just talk about the Alps, for example, and they've got a budget, let's pick a budget of, I don't know, 500,000, 500,000 euros. How do they decide where to look? They go onto your portal and there are listings. You've said how many thousands of listings you've got. Unless they want something with Michelin star dining and they want the glitz of Courchevel, Megève, St. Moritz or somewhere like that. We're talking about your sort of typical resort that delivers on good lift, good runs, and amenities. Give us an idea of how people should decide, filter through the listings and properties available.
Yeah, it's an interesting one actually. Just to kind of go back onto one thing I just want to point out with what Jake just said. It is important that we do all these things at the beginning. As I said before, there has been some situations where people have signed a reservations agreement and then forgot to put their mortgage details on, and it's all a bit. It just gets a bit tricky. So it is of paramount importance to. We just spoke to a guy just before this who looking to buy a property in Maribel, and as Jake says, if the exchange rate is 121 or something like that, he's going to be paying up until 2026. So to be able to lock that in allows you to think exactly what you're paying instead of paying too much. So fundamentally important. That's kind of why we set it up. In terms
is that because he's buying an off plan? Sorry. He's going to have stage payment. Because I was going to ask you that question.
So obviously with off-plan property, it's the notary fees in France are significantly less than buying a resale that's after 5 years. It's between 2 and 2.5%, whereas a resale is about 8 to 9%. So again, this is what we kind of put in our consultation with people. If they're looking to buy a resale property at, let's say, 500,000, as you just alluded to, Richard, their notary fees are going to be about 40,000. That might then become unaffordable. If you then lose out on the exchange rate as well, then it becomes a property that you can't get. You have to work backwards a little bit. So we know what the notary fees are. We know what we're going to pay. So when you go to make your offer, you know exactly how much you can afford. There's so many things that fall down because we are not organised. So Jake's service is free. The notaire service is free. The mortgage service is free. Our service is free. There's no reason not to just get your ducks in order before you do all these things. So in terms of obviously searching for a property, it's a tricky one, Richard, because most people follow their heart and most people want to buy in the resorts that they've been to and they know the local barman or they know the local chef or whatever, or their friends are there. So it's just basically about, sometimes you have in resort, the more, let's say, better locations, ski and ski out properties that are apartments, because obviously they're next to the slopes, offer a little bit more of a premium. If you start to move away slightly from the ski and ski out and move a little bit further down the hill, you can find some better deals. Something that's a bit more affordable. You also, within these places, if you take the Three Valleys, for example, we just mentioned Maribel. So if you look at Maribel, Courchevel, Val Thorens, which are, say, the flagship resorts of the Three Valleys, there's also the smaller resorts around there that have access to these places like La Tania, Les Memoirs, Saint-Martin, that offer a lot more affordability. And people just might not know these. So I think it goes back to, let's have a conversation. There are some. If you look at Les Cibels, for example, it's the 4th largest ski resort in Europe, and yet no one really knows about it. It's just not had that much PR. So again, you're probably looking at around 5,000 euros a square meter. You can buy in Maribel at the moment for probably 30,000 euros a square meter. So there's a huge difference. It just depends what your requirements are, and everyone's requirement is unique. So let's talk, let's find out what you need, and then we take it from there.
And how important is dual seasonality now? Because increasingly you hear,
huge. There is one anomaly, which is Val d'Isère, which in France, if you took it, everyone loves the place, and it doesn't really have much of a ski season, but it's more about the address. There are big places like that where if you get in, you get the address. That's what people want. But most people now, it's about ROI. It used to be a 16 to 20 week season, and that's pretty much where you got your ROI from. Now you can add that on for another summer season. And the ski resorts have known this for probably the last 5 or 10 years. And there's a lot of now focus on mountain biking. And skiing has changed so much. I should probably call snow only mountain only, because it's all about people don't always want to ski. They want to go hiking, they want to go climbing, they want to go walking, they want to get on the e-bikes. So having that year-round resort is fundamental, and it helps you in terms of rentals. Look at Chamonix, for example. There's more people that go to Chamonix in the summer than there is the winter. So, it's you've got dual season is 9 out of 10 people want it. Yeah.
I know my own neighbours, they are serious mountain bikers, and I think they have a place in Châtel.
Yeah. I've mountain biked there. I've cut my face there. Sure.
But they said that they adapt the lifts for mountain bikes in the summer. Is that right? In these places?
Put the mountain bike on the back of the ski, the bubble lift.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
So if that's important to you, you need to check, I guess, things like that. What is going on in the summer? How much to resorts?
And to be fair, Richard, some people are purchasing with us recently that don't even want to use it for the ski season. They want to use it for the summer. They have no interest in using it for the ski season. Yeah, it's a summer resort for them.
So buyers, when they're looking to buy a property, let's call it a mountain property, when do a lot of them go out to do viewings? Will it be in the city when there's snow on the ground, or do they go in the spring, or is there an ideal time to go and look at properties you might consider buying?
Yeah, well, obviously most people go skiing now. The snow is very good, so a lot of people are going. The only fundamental problem is that all ski resorts are generally fully booked on the peak dates, or anywhere between, let's say, December and March. So it's very difficult to go and look at resale properties, which is why there is a lot of focus on new off-plan, new build properties, because they offer a showroom and you can go and see it. It's very difficult to get into properties now because they're rented. So
yeah.
A lot of people, if you're genuine about buying a ski property, tend to go in the summer because it's a lot easier, or that middle or that crossover season where it goes from winter to summer or summer to winter. If you get in there, then you've got a lot of properties to see. Someone told me the other day, which is such a good point, that a lot of people go to view properties in the winter, but you can't really see the detail of the property because there's so much snow. So sometimes it's better to go into the summer because you see actually what the property is. You see the bits that need fixing. If the roof needs fixing, you can't see that when it's got a ton of snow on it. So, but historically, most people buy properties now because you're in the ski bubble.
Yeah, I guess you could turn up in the spring and there's a swimming pool in the garden you hadn't seen when the snow was down. But
lots of things like that. But everyone's excited, and with real estate, everyone knows real estate is generally down to governed by momentum. And if lots of people are buying and you feel like you're going to miss out, then sometimes it motivates people to buy a little bit quicker. And you're in dreamland, your family's having fun, the snow's falling, you've just had a great day on the slopes, there's an opportunity. That's why the market moves. And the best seller of ski holidays is the snow. And at the moment it's snowing, so people are buying.
Right. You've mentioned about return on investment, and rentals is a big part of the ski market. I mean, it's
huge.
I mean, people who buy ski property, I don't know if you've got any stats, but I imagine close to 90% or plus people who own a ski property rent it out purely because the market's there, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, well, this is why people tend to buy new build properties. So one of the things is, if you buy a new build property, the notary fees are reduced, as I mentioned before, 2.5%. But in order to in order for the resorts to have full beds during the season, new developments tend to offer a 20% VAT rebate off at the asking price. So easy. If you buy a property at $1 million and then you give it back as a rental property, which allocates you, let's say, 6 weeks per season, and the rest has to be rented out, you can claim back 200,000. So the property only cost you 800,000. So if then that works for your requirements and usage, that is typically what people are doing now. So the likes of Alpine Lodges, MGM, Rising Stone, all these big developers, they all offer a VAT rebate, and 90% of people do it. Yeah.
And these will be fully managed, won't they? If
fully managed, you can imagine. Yeah, fully managed, swimming pools, gyms. It's almost like a hotel for them. But that works for a lot of people, because a lot of people, not necessarily coming from the UK, but people are coming from further afield, international, Hong Kong, Singapore. They're flying in. They don't need to have it all the time. They have it for 2 weeks. They want the beds made. They want the concierge service. They want the ski shops. They want the ski hire. They want to get in there, get on their skis and get out, and then have the property in an immaculate condition. And that's essentially what it will be. Yeah. The difficult part with the resale properties, although the higher notary fees, it's generally managed by yourself. So you have your own expectations of what it's going to be like, but that could be perfect for you and your family. But predominantly, people are looking at new build VAT recovery.
But I mean, you don't do rentals yourself, but there will be obviously.
No, but I started my career in rentals, and I still have a lot of friends that do rentals. So, but it's just now it's so many people are looking, so many different groups of 2, groups of 4, 6, 8, up to 20. Yeah.
And in terms of choosing a high altitude resort, because obviously we hear about the snow not being as reliable, but just give us an idea of people's perception of that. And is it?
Yeah.
Do you see people doing that?
So outside the industry, it's climate change is definitely a thing for people, and now predominantly people have come back to us saying that they want a resort that's generally 1,500 meters or over. Places like Teen, which is around 2,000, for example, gets a lot of attention. Places like Les Arcs, La Plan, anything that's a high resort. But then if you look at Chamonix, it kind of goes against that grain a bit, which is Chamonix is only around 900 meters, and it gets so many people going there. But I think for most people, a higher resort makes them feel a bit better. If you're in the industry, people kind of think that the snow comes in cycles, and at the moment the cycles come around again, and we're having loads and loads of snow. So I think it kind of comes back again. There's other factors other than just the snow. For example, people like resorts that are close to Geneva because it's only an hour drive and it's an international airport. So things like that also add to the factor. But if you had a perfect scenario, it would be close to a ski resort, ski in, ski out in high altitude. That would be like a dream, I think, for most people. And that's what we get a lot of inquiries for.
Thank you. And final question is, you must have some favourites as well. Have you got favourite resorts in the Alps? Where would you go if you could jump on a plane tomorrow?
My favourite in the ski season is Val d'Isère. I just get this just full of excitement when I go there. To ski in the L'Espace Kili is just amazing. I've skied in Teen a lot. Japan is a huge highlight, and I would advise anybody to go because of the snow depth. A quick stat for you. Snow depth in Europe averages probably 3 to 6 meters. In Japan, it averages 14 to 17. So, yeah, it's fluffy.
That's where they get the powder, isn't it? The powder.
It's fluffy. Yeah. It's very close to the sea, so it just kind of drops it on the mountain. Amazing place to go. But if in Europe, yes, I'd probably choose Val d'Isère.
Or swap your tartiflette for sushi. Yeah.
But if someone said you can go skiing for a free ski holiday, I would take anywhere, to be honest.
You go anywhere. So would I. Yeah. Great. We're well over time. We could chat for a lot longer.
Yes.
But that is all we've got time for. Thank everyone who's tuned in. I hope it's been useful. That's whether you've watched it live or you're watching on the recorded version. If you are watching live, do recommend this recorded version to friends and family who might find it useful. And of course, contact Mark and the Snow Only team or Jake at Smart Currency Direct, or you can come via Your Overseas Home if you've got any other questions or you're ready to take your first step to buying a ski home. Thanks very much, Mark and Jake. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
It's been very interesting. Small request from the team here at Your Overseas Home. If you have enjoyed this and find it useful, we'd appreciate it if you left us a review on the review website Trustpilot. And I've got a final save the date for you, which is the Your Overseas Homes comprehensive virtual event, which is the 22nd of March next year. If you are skiing, check the Wi-Fi. You can tune in then from your chalet. So it's a chance to chat to everyone and anyone you might need for a property purchase, whether that's a ski property or a beach resort. We've got agents, lawyers, visa specialists, financial advisors who will be available on a virtual platform for real live chats, and there'll be seminars as well where we'll be discussing things such as buying ski property, more in-depth look at visas, legal processes, and you can register for that through the link that's it's there on the screen now. Otherwise, that's it from us. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Christmas. If you're listening live, and a relaxing break. Perhaps you are heading off to the snowy peak somewhere, so enjoy. Thanks very much, and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.